Listen to Us Now is a podcast about the unheard stories of our youth, the stories of the voices who have been silenced. But we are the future leaders of the world. So listen to us now.
I am Anastasia Consuela,
And I am Mila Gomez.
and we are the hosts of Listen to Us Now.
Welcome back.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode.
In today's episode, we will be reading a story that was sent to us to read.
We created this podcast to give a safe space for the young voices of Bakersfield to be able to tell their stories. And because of COVID-19 and everything being virtual, as well as other factors, everyone's situation is different.
Our number one priority is to make sure that the person sharing their story is completely comfortable and up to date with the editing and uploading process.
These are not our stories, so we want to make sure that the people who these stories belong to are okay with every single thing.
We want to remind everyone this podcast is open to every young voice in the Bakersfield area, and if you want to share your story through this podcast, simply fill out the Google form which is in the link in the description of this video, or you can email us.
We have many ways on how you can share your story through this podcast, and if you have any questions whatsoever, let us know.
But that is enough of us. On to their story.
Trigger warning: this episode deals with a lot of hard topics such as rape and sexual harassment. If any of these could affect you in any way, please turn the video off now and take care of yourself. Thank you.
When I was 15, there was a guy I had a summer fling with who sexually assaulted me, but I didn't know it was rape until months later. I'll spare the details, but basically, I felt like I owed him pleasure at the expense of my own comfort, which is one, never okay, and two, rape. I didn't say no, but I also didn't say yes, and therefore it's rape. Some people may ask why I didn't report, and it's because it's so overly complicated. Not only does the police system and the police themselves suck, but it's really uncomfortable to tell someone you were sexually assaulted and then have to collect evidence and file paperwork. It's a whole process that's really awkward and wouldn't do much anyway, but that's my opinion. And you may be wondering why I'm explaining and justifying myself so much, and it's because people tend to blame the survivor. Even I blamed myself. After it happened, I went home and cried, embarrassed and ashamed, guilty and disgusted with myself. But then I think, what if he also felt uncomfortable at times and didn't tell me? What if I assaulted him at some point? Should I have communicated more? And maybe I'm overthinking it a bit, but the possibility haunts me. If by any chance I did, I want him to know I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. At the same time, I don't wish to see him ever again, and I've blocked him on my social media. After the incident, I would get uncomfortable and panic every time I saw him at school. Not only that, but if you were to look at how he talks about women, he's misogynistic, and I don't want to deal with that. I'll admit, I also had internalized misogyny at the time. It's why I felt like I owed him pleasure and why I blame myself for what happened. I didn't respect myself enough to consider myself and my own comfort first when I should have. Social media and sex ed rarely focuses on female pleasure and glorifies male pleasure, so I felt like I was supposed to give in to him. Even if we were in the middle of something and I changed my mind, I felt like I couldn't say no. I felt like I owed him sex and pleasure, which is so stupid because I didn't owe anyone pleasure but myself. And I'm always allowed to say no at any time for any reason. And I hate the fact that deep down I knew that I wasn't ready to go as far as we did, and I don't think he was either. I hate that I knew it was rape but didn't want to admit it.
Thinking back on it now, I don't even think I knew what consent was. Not really, anyways. Obviously, I know the difference between yes and no, but consent is more than that. It's body language, how comfortable they are, their enthusiasm, and I think sex ed really doesn't cover all of it. You need consent for anything and everything you do. And if it ruins the mood, then maybe there wasn't a quote unquote mood to begin with. And everyone can always say no, even if you've already started whatever you're doing. In sex ed, we learn that yes means yes and no means no, to not pressure someone into sex, and to always confirm consent in some way for everything you do. But it's more than that. We need to teach everyone, especially men, what consent really is. I think it'll be a long time until I'm comfortable enough to have sex again, at least with men, but that's okay. I'm entitled to that, and for a long time, I didn't think I was. I wish I had stayed abstinent, but at least I can now. Abstinence is a perfectly valid choice, and I like to say that you don't need to have sex before a certain age, if ever, if you don't want to for any reason at all. Virginity doesn't even exist, it's just a concept and was only created to control women. It's so irrelevant to the rest of your life and it's nothing to worry about. Being raped really scarred me a lot more than I thought. I already had little to no trust in men, and I seriously don't now. I get uncomfortable in situations that remind me of it, and I get anxious about it too. Whenever I remember it, I cringe, sometimes scream and cry. But I'm not going to let it control me, and that's why I'm sharing this. I was really scared to talk about it because I was afraid of the backlash and harassment. But I hope by sharing, even if it's just my writing, I can help other rape survivors. I hear you, I see you, and I'm here for you. It is never your fault, and you shouldn't have to avoid being raped. Rapists shouldn't rape people. Thank you for letting me share this. Please take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate you coming onto the podcast, even though this must have been a very hard thing for you to do.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for listening.
The person who shared this story with us has asked to stay completely anonymous, so we will respect that.
If you want more information on this podcast or how you can share your story, check out our IGTV on our Instagram page.
Our Instagram and TikTok are at Listen to Us Now. But other than that, I am Milo Gomez.
And I am Anastasia Consuelo, and this has been Listen to Us Now.